to put up with the morning travesty. So yeah,
right, you're now live. Keep this story going for a few minutes.
You sneaky bitch! You've done that live, haven't you? Good morning, everybody. Hello.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome home, Simon. You're back for a week in the wilderness. You're looking a little bit Bear Grylls today, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, well, look, a lot of people have commented that they like my playful pink exterior. That sounds horrible, but they want me to.
Better than your playful pink interior. No one wants to see that.
They want me to really develop my alpha maleness because they feel that I need to, in the way that you keep saying I should seize the role at Property Mark. They want me to really, step up to the mark in terms of being the full man I could want to be.
And so, in order to be outdoorsy and macho, you need to grow a beard, don't you?
Yeah. Well,
I'm talk to us about what's going on here.
Yeah, it never really works, does it? I think.
I think as men, you've either got it or you haven't in the beard department. Someone that has is, of course, Christian Byfield.
Of course, he's literally come on here just to mock it, hasn't he? What's that? No, this will be resplendent by this week. This was basically a protest against me, obviously having no data.
So, Christian, about beards, why don't you tell us, beard confessional? The truth is that a beard smells of anything you've just eaten. No, that's true. It literally absorbs. Christian, tell us about it.
You've lifted that straight from the Roald Dahl book, The Twits, where he has.
No, that's true. Genuinely, it's a big, big problem for Vikings in general, and that's why there's no more Vikings.
Well, there's a couple of reasons there if you want to get historical, but I fear this would go down the whole Donald Trump thing. Hey, while we're at it, did you see his tiny little quote this week? I thought you might do it. He was talking about Yosemite. The obvious
Yosemite.
Yeah. Yosemite. Wow, that guy, he still keeps delivering, doesn't he?
Do you know what? I'm if the closer we get to November the 4th, I actually think he's got less of a chance of getting through again.
It's not happening, and I think actually, what was it? Was it events, dear boy, events? I think he probably, he's sort of probably a 50-50 chance of getting in, apart from the fact that of his handling of Corona. Bizarrely, he literally has managed to bollocks that up so much that, even his fan base now are seeing him, well, a degree of his fan base at least are seeing him for what he is. So it's double-digit leads, isn't it? Hopefully we'll be rid of at least one massive.
Who is his competitor? So if he doesn't get in, honestly, do we need to go from one white elderly male to another? So honestly, is that what the leader of the free world has become?
Yeah, but Zoe Byfield didn't go for it, so we can't be held responsible for this one, can we? So look, what I think is fascinating over there.
If she did go for it, would David Cox walk out a week later? That's the question.
You're saying there's a causal link. I do think it's amazing that Obama got in over there, and yet the bigger ism that they have a problem with is feminism. They literally, I never understood the whole Hillary hatred thing, but actually it seems to be deeper than that, doesn't it? I mean, any of the quite powerful women that have gone for even just for the running for the race, just getting slapped back down again, don't they? So I think that's the biggest challenge for them.
She's seen as being a liar, isn't she? That's what she never recovered from.
Well, it seems being a liar, but really, again, fake news and all the conspiracy theories. The whole lock her up thing was all based around, some really contentious things around Iraq, wasn't it? But obviously, that demographic, the sort of Trump base, just ate it up, and still to this day massively believes all of it.
You heard it here first, Christian Byfield. Joe Biden's going to need a vice president, and nobody makes a good vice president like David Cox does.
There you are. They are eloquence. And of course, wasn't born in America, so he can't do it. Anyway, hey ho.
Shame. You know what though? Honestly, I have strong feelings against Biden getting it. I'd like him to get it because I don't want Trump to have it. But you remember the Reagan era towards the end as he was losing his memory. Yeah. Do we need that? Honestly, do we need somebody in charge of the nuclear button?
We can't. I am so much more relaxed with somebody with just natural dementia and everything else having it than Trump, because far better for Biden to do it because he didn't know what it was, rather than Trump to do it because he thought he was ordering a pizza.
So it's okay to blow up Alaska because Biden.
I thought I had my Planet of the Apes moment last week, when the one moment I got on YouTube, or I got some data, and I saw the video of Beirut, and of course I thought you lot had managed to have a nuclear war while I'd disappeared.
Whoa, you lot.
Oh, sorry.
You instantly blamed it on us, didn't you? You went all Yosemite on it.
No, to be absolutely honest there, David, you jumped in and accepted it quite happily straight away.
I'd honestly assume that our boys
claimed it
overnight. I did.
So Netanyahu claimed it, didn't he? Everything I saw was they were claiming it before the actual bomb, before the explosion happened.
It did look nuclear. It did. That whole sort of.
Yeah, the mushroom cloud. For me, it won't surprise you at all, as obviously a champagne liberal. I had very dark years in my teen years because I was absolutely convinced that the world was going to end in nuclear war. Ergo, I was CND, pacifist, peacenik, commie liberal. And it sparked that all off again for me there, and just made me just realise, when you see how many times we have come close to obviously it going off by mistakes, errors and everything else, that they really need, especially with Trump. He ripped it up, didn't he? He ripped up the agreement to decommission nuclear weapons. They just got to get rid of it.
Well, look at that.
Oh my God.
I want to, the reason I'm doing this is I'm trying to get this fantastic video, because this is the only bit of news that people need to see. You see that?
I can, yeah, perfectly. Yeah. That looks like a wonderful Oliver, or am I allowed to expose him?
That is Oliver James of Oliver James Estate. let's watch that again. Look how his daughters are forced to look.
She goes straight to him, gets him in the recovery position. That's a doctor ready and waiting there.
What did he think was going to happen?
Well, he probably in his head thought he was going to do an Evel Knievel takeoff, as I always do there. But I believe it was better than that. Didn't he lure you around?
I asked him if he was all right, and he said he'd broken his arm in 4 places and he was awaiting surgery. They were going to insert a plate into his shoulder. And I took him at his word, which shows what a wanker he is, because, you know, I'm a friend. I ran around. I did the whole flowers thing. I offered his wife help with shopping, whatever.
Yeah, and your own missus is going, he never does any of that here.
How many bones do you need to break? Amy Hansen. Here we go. Tom McGee's got a solution. Bojo was born in America. We could volunteer him. It would be a sacrifice he'd be willing to make.
Famously. Honestly, Tom, you're always going on about politics. I don't know what it is about you, but I couldn't endorse that anymore. Actually, there was something there that you were just talking about, memory loss. Did you know that they were talking about COVID-19, just to add to its many? I always love the way they talk about it now. It's a very complex disease, which is a way of saying it does yet one more thing that we didn't know about to fuck us up. And apparently it increases the risk of memory loss, which is just absolutely fantastic. Not just, by the way, sorry, this isn't just at the time that you're obviously subject to the disease itself. This is afterwards, because it flares up the brain. You could be suffering permanent memory loss. So,
would you know what I read this weekend somewhere? I read that COVID-19, one of the side effects can be memory loss.
Very good.
Do I live there? Do I live there?
Yeah. We don't even work on this shit, people. That's right. Straight back. Can I ask your opinion on a story?
Yeah, sure.
I read the Times just to.
Of course you do.
Well, yeah, I mean, I read many papers on a Sunday, David. But I like to get.
You do know that the Times and the Daily Mail is essentially the same news in a different wrapper. So the Daily Mail is for your mum, and the Times is for you. It's the same right-wing propaganda, just dressed up differently.
No, I don't believe. I think the Times is. I mean, it's a right-wing paper, but it at least has its essence of in journalism, doesn't it? The Daily Mail is about as close to that as you and I are to.
No, the Daily Mail and the Times is the same news, just with a few nip slips thrown in.
Oh, well, I'm gonna have to disagree. Anyway, I don't want your opinion on that. Apparently, lonely workers weary of having to shut themselves away from family or flatmates, are flocking to websites and apps offering the recorded sounds of busy offices. So if you found yourself longing for the noise of background chatter, clicking keyboards, and the occasional squawk of a coffee machine, then head to the website called soundofcolleagues.com. It made me think, I know you're back in the office, but what sounds would you want? Would you be particularly missing if you had to go for the dreaded second lockdown?
Soundofcolleagues.com. To me, there was a period before lockdown where they moved me. They moved my desk into the corner of the room because we were having some work done.
Bullying.
They honestly, they were gradually moving me closer and closer to the door.
Yeah.
At some point, I actually thought I'd come in and my desk would be in the car park. But one of the things that I noticed was that I got to see I was on the main toilet route. So I got to sort of, that's not good.
Nice. Yeah,
where people stop to sort of make small talk with you as they're on the way to drop off the kids. It's not a great thing.
That isn't great, isn't it? So,
okay. So in terms of sounds, I haven't missed that, or smells. Here we go. I'm on the Sounds of Colleagues website.
Yeah. What jumps out at you?
Oh, well, can we share this? Can I do that?
Of course you can. Yeah, why?
Let's Chrome tab. Sounds of Colleagues. Here we go. Can anyone hear that?
Not at the moment. Oh yeah. Oh, that's quite good.
So you can have the coffee machine.
What's it? Rain on window. That's just for Mancunians everywhere. The office dog. Hopefully, that's an actual canine rather than just slang.
I don't know. It's not doing it for me.
No, that just sounds like your normal link.
That was 2 minutes of show done there.
Brilliant. Never getting that back. Never getting that
audience back either, mate. Never getting that audience. Have you got any property news for us today?
I did see, because we obviously didn't do last week because I was struggling for a 3G connection. Of course, August the 7th, the right move profits and revenue are out. Did you see them? Did you study them? Have you been bitter as you always are over them?
They dropped 34%, didn't they? And the profits were down by 43%.
Down by 43%. Yes. So this was the key points were obviously this was for the 6 months to the 30th of June. So basically half of that during lockdown, wasn't it? Pretty much in my simplistic.
It was, but it's when you read the figures out that the sympathy side of it doesn't come into it, because when you say the words revenue was down 34%, you think, all right, move. But when you say the revenue was down 34% to a staggering 94.8 million quid.
Yeah.
That's
wait. Don't. That's good that that's etched into your brain. I do like that. Don't ruin my thing here. So it's revenue was down 34% to 94.8 million. Profits were down 43%, which sounds terrible, of course, but it is down to just 61.7 million pounds. against the same period of 2009. But that means Rightmove's still showing 65% profit before tax. Now, again, I appreciate that I have just done some of the most ropey maths there, that half of that was during lockdown. But shouldn't if profit was 75% normally, half of that was during lockdown, of which there was a 75% discount. Shouldn't it have been more than that? Or does that mean that they weren't giving that 75% quite as strongly to or people didn't claim it? With you guys, did they just offer it, or did you have to sign something? You had to sign?
No, I don't think they had to sign anything.
Oh.
In the first instance, they wanted copies of our proof of funds, if you remember. That was in the early days, but then they dropped that shit when they realized they were going to lose all their customers.
Yeah.
And
you get where I'm coming from there, don't you? It just on very simplistic maths, aka well, I'll just carry on, David. If he doesn't like the tough questions, yeah. If it was on that basis, surely the profit should have gone down by more than that. But it doesn't make any sense to me anyway. What was the main point about it? Membership numbers down by 3.3%. Oh, you're back.
Yeah.
Well, just you being able to do your little silly name, isn't it? You shut down close, but it did say that membership numbers were obviously down again to 19,158. Now I don't get that. We read out on the show just another day that it was down to just under, wasn't it, 17,000? So where does that discrepancy come from?
I'm not sure. I actually expected the revenue to be hit a lot stronger than that. Much stronger.
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Joe Robinson's got an explanation. Simon Whale, no, because they would have furloughed staff and cut costs at the same time as cutting revenue. That's true.
Someone that actually understands about business. There you go. Thank you for that, Joe.
Zoe's got that great story that's in the
you sick bastard
property industry. Well, it's just I don't know, it stood out because
you're the sort of person that slows down on a motorway as a good old gander, and when I'm there, I force the kids to look left. Look away from it, kids. Do not be like these idiots in front. And then I ram the car in front, but that's a separate issue.
Yeah, it's called rubbernecking.
Yeah.
It's called rubbernecking, and it's something that we all do on a motorway.
Don't say that in Prague. It's a completely different thing.
£80,000 Porsche smashes into a state agency. So this actually happened quite close to us. It's in Standish.
Alan Batt's old territory.
It is actually Alan Batt's old company. So the premises is in Standish near Wigan, the office of Winnard and Brown. Winnard and Brown, formerly known as Batt and Brown Standish, was acquired by the Winnard family in 1992 and continued to trade as Batt and Brown for 18 years until the 1st of January 2010, when nobody cares that their name was changed. And basically, no injuries, but somebody put a very nice car through that window. But it happens quite a lot.
All too often. I clearly never had a Porsche, but I did. I was a terrible driver. I wrote off 3 cars in the first 2 years.
Right?
What? I haven't crashed a car for 20 odd years. I don't know. I honestly can't. I haven't even had a prank unless somebody tells me. But I was just classically young and stupid and all the other things that people would still say about me now, apart from being young.
In other news, Yopa says it's reached profitability 6 months ahead of schedule. Yopa reached profitability 6 months ahead of its plan, now holding a substantial amount of cash on its balance sheet to continue its growth. Company experienced the busiest month ever in July. and they've had their share of new listings on Rightmove jumped by 76% year on year. But I'm imagining that's probably the same sort of jump that most agents have experienced at this time of the year since coming out of lockdown.
Is Yopa still owned by the corporates or some of the bigger names?
Who owns Yopa? Let's see if the article actually says.
I couldn't see it in there, but my understanding was that it was. I thought it was owned by. It was.
The business Yopa's moved to profit. No, it doesn't say. Yopa's last filed accounts were for 2018, where it showed a loss of 30 million quid. This followed losses of 18 million quid in 2017. So when they say they're at profitability, does that mean they've got to the point where they're now making more money than they're losing, but they haven't made back all the money that they lost in the first 2 years?
Oh, who knows with these things, isn't it? It's all just for the investors, isn't it? And everything else there. Oh, that's right. So Daily Mail, Savills, and LSL. There's a trinity there. So I thought I knew Savills were in there somewhere. For me, again, it's just that the big surprise, I suppose. Maybe it shouldn't be about the number of listings. It's again they are very strong on that. I saw some reports. I can't remember. It was one of the market intelligence ones did it for us anyway. And staggeringly, just seeing still how powerful the likes of Purple Bricks are just in terms of that listings machine. Obviously, they're in a rocky road at the moment, apparently from a core point of view, but the numbers are still being trotted out. In terms of your patch, how do you see them, the onlines? Have the bit like House Simple or Strike these guys?
You know what? We've not really seen them that much. You get the odd clever dick that likes to think they're going to save themselves a fortune and go to one of the onliners. But the truth is, most and this is shocking. We don't really talk about it as much as we probably should do. But because agents are willing to negotiate on their fee, you can now pick up a full-service high street agent who will run around like men. Who are you waving to?
Just some random people at the door.
Is that in the garden, mate? Who's wondering?
You're like the missus you are. Who are you talking
Who is
to?
that? Well, I'm not seen you smile at another human like that since we first met, to be honest.
Matt Nicol.
Matt Nicol. Good morning. Do you want another coffee, darling? No, but I think you can get a full service high street agent that will run around after you, do all your viewings, do all your chasing. They'll be on social media. They'll do everything, and they'll probably negotiate on their fee. So once they've negotiated on that fee, the price differential between somebody like Purple Bricks and a regular high street agent is that little that you'll go for the high street agent because you won't have to pay them up front at least.
But here's the thing, whisper it quietly. It was always so, wasn't it? So is that now is it just the fact that the public are just aware of that?
I think the public have also become very much aware that Purple Bricks' service promises aren't exactly what they were, and therefore they can rely that at least they know what they're getting with the high street agent. They always knew that the high street agent would negotiate on fees. And that's what they do. Sometimes they just pit you off one against another. If you go in, they'll quite clearly say, "Oh, look, I've got," and sometimes they'll wave the prospectuses in the air. They'll say, "Right, I've got 2 other agents that have been round. They've both given me quotes," and effectively they just use you all to level out and to race it to the bottom.
In Christopher Watkins' interview with Mr. Bruce there, one of the questions that he asked about was Yopa. One of the things that I don't think I've got this wrong. Well, didn't he say that Yopa had started off before Purple Bricks? Which I must admit, I was pretty shocked. In my recollection, was that they came in afterwards, but I didn't even realise they were around at the same stage.
They were sort of talking, weren't they? That I think the premise of the whole conversation was that Purple Bricks, they were almost discussing Purple Bricks as if it had been a massive failure. But the damage that it had managed to do and that is the irony of that whole interview and the industry's rehabilitation of the Bruce brothers is that, you know, the damage that they did in a very short time to an established industry. And if you want to use that horrible word that they use more than any other on the property industry, disruption. But it did. And I don't think we're the same industry, which is fine because I think we're better for it.
I definitely think so. Corona's a bit of a disruptor, isn't it? And that's a deadly disease. So, you know,
innovator.
Yeah, so Purple Bricks, the Corona of business. Look, one thing I do agree with is ultimately it was the effect of the weaker agents, the bottom end of the market, dropping their pants in very quick retaliation to the online agents that actually impacted not just the online, because 5% of the market can't impact anyone, can it? As they famously only ever really
and we overreacted. We overreacted.
Well, you talked it up. I mean, funny enough, and ironically, as we are doing now, I couldn't have I would try to get through the first half hour of a conversation with an agent just to stop them swearing about Purple Bricks and those bastards doing this and that and all the other, because they were just obsessed and they were actually doing they were doing their own advertising because they were so obsessed about it. I can imagine some agents going in and, have you seen Purple Bricks yet? And it's like, oh, well, we must remember to give them a ring.
I don't think we had the answers in the early days. So no. we were panicked. We thought, shit, they're offering what looks like a good service. It's a knockdown fee. And they are campaigning on the basis that traditional agencies overpriced. That's what they keep saying. That's their rhetoric. How on earth am I going to counteract this? Because the public want change. They want the future. And if they're told that the future's online in every other industry in the world, why wouldn't it be the same with the property industry?
Yeah, really good. Because again, we've been waiting for that disruptive bullshit wave for absolutely years, haven't we? Right from going back to, for sale by owner, FSBO, wasn't it? That I remember going through my negotiator magazines, the death knell of agency. Back then it was Tapillo was going to absolutely wipe it out, and it just morphs from one to another. Basically, with that propensity of the public, the dickhead public who think they're cleverer than every agent. They genuinely believe the bullshit that too many agents are asking for too much money and they can do it better themselves. Whether that's being done via an online agent or themselves or some hybrid between the two, that hasn't changed. And what's really interesting is the percentages haven't particularly changed, have they, as far as I'm aware?
No, I don't think there's been a dramatic shift. What I do think has changed is the level of service from anybody that is not in the online zone. So definitely. I think as a result, everybody's up their game. We are now probably working harder across the board to deliver results and add value to customers. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what the average fee is like. I know that property, your chaps, what's he called? Posh guy, patches on the elbow at all the award ceremonies. Tally ho and what ho?
James does.
No, Peter Knight. So I know Peter Knight does a Peter Knight does a survey.
By the way, what we should have done there was just run through a list of 200 people. So Peter,
with double-barreled names. No, but Peter does a survey, doesn't he? Where every year they sort of work out what the average fee is within the industry, whether we've gone up or down. So it'd be interesting to see where that's at, because I think a lot of agents have concentrated on upping their fee. There's a lot of, how you've started to churn out these sort of mindfulness and the mindset memes that you keep putting out on Kerfuffle.
No, don't worry. I agree with you. There is going to be some retribution there.
Today's Monday. Make it like the best Monday, and all that sort of stuff. But all this sort of self-belief has now taught agents, and this has got into agents, that they need to understand their own value, and they need to start communicating that across to the customer. And so therefore average fees they'd started to sort of rise slightly. People are actually thinking, okay, if you were at 0.75%, you'll now push for 1%, and so on. So I'm sure it varies.
There's a load of. Funny enough, I was reading Josh Fegan's, our friend of the show. Here's one for you. I've bought some running shoes recommended by Josh. So I've done nothing in them.
Major news. Running shoes.
Running shoes, yeah.
For what?
Yeah. And I genuinely feel like I'm floating on air now. They're called Source Air. Wait a minute. I think they're called Source Air. Look at that. Look at those beauties.
Wow. Look at those beauty.
Look at those Ronnie Corbett legs. You'll notice they were undone because, of course, I never actually do anything.
And that's all for running away from the tax man.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're at the door. They're at the door.
Yeah. burn the files. But Josh was talking about how you do pricing. How do you can do it on competitive pricing, nice, relaxed, lazy, has no relevance. You can do it on cost base, of course. And what his point was there, what I think is particularly relevant, is actually very few agents are able or have the numbers to hand to understand what a listing actually costs them, all those numbers that allow you to base that, cost plus a bit of profit on top. So what tends to happen is people kind of just estimate it where they kind of know they're going to make a profit, don't they? Which
it's really hard, that metric of cost per listing. So you need to now factor in. So obviously your main stuff like Rightmove and On the Market, whatever else you're on, and then you're going to have to factor in whatever it is you spend. But then to start factoring in rent, lighting, heating, staff cost.
Boring.
No, it is boring. But how do you come out with that figure? Genuinely, what is it? Is it 300 quid a listing?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That was a finger in the air, by the way, rather than anything else.
Graham Wilson, do you think in a parallel universe you're both doing this show about the car industry or double glazing?
Graham, we are, and we're streaming to those Facebook pages there. Kerfuffle for cars, with a K, of course.
I reckon on archaeology or dinosaurs, something really niche.
Yeah. Well,
can we talk about dinosaurs? Can we talk about dinosaurs for a second?
We always do. We talk about property, Mark.
Now, the king of all dinosaurs famously was the T-Rex, was it not?
Yeah.
Right? But only little arms. So how did the T-Rex wipe its arse?
That's why he was so angry.
Talking about people with little arms, I listened to another podcast this weekend. It was Sam Hunter's podcast. And now Sam Hunter's not got little arms. Sam Hunter's got average length Australian arms. I'm talking about Chris Watkins. He was on that show, and he name checked both of us. That's all I'm saying. People are going on other people's shows and they're talking about you and me.
Was it How Not to Do a Podcast or webinar?
This is a very eclectic podcast. Little known fact, Amy Hansen, friend of the show, is actually a qualified archaeologist.
She is?
She's a regular Indiana Jones.
She always used to make that point when I was at a previous CRM company in terms of how stuck in the old ages, the dark ages we were ourselves. But I don't think that tortured the analogy too much there.
No, not at all. I think that company is fossilized. I think you're right.
Can I mention just again, just to take it back so that obviously our property audience feels satisfied? On Estate Agency Today, in what we should call the Let Them Eat Cake sort of award, obviously Knight Frank comes out and says, make the stamp duty holiday permanent, suggests Top Agency. So I scoffed as I read that. I was like, oh, this doesn't seem like a story of self-interest. And to be fair, it isn't. It isn't at all. Obviously, it's due to expire there, but they come out with this quote, which I love. On a multi-million-pound property, the saving will be a small percentage of the transaction price, but it represents a meaningful discount for the vast majority of UK buyers, says the agency. So they're obviously making the point that they do need to have the kind of the rest of the market supporting the prime marketplace there. So it shows how effective it could be. The holiday has been encouraging market activity. And then our friend as well from Anthony Codling says the market appears to be in a sustainable recovery, and he draws. I haven't properly looked into them yet. This Twindig organisation, but the Twindig Housing Market Index, which looks at a number of different sources, obviously is reporting that it looks fairly robust and sustainable, which of course is nice.
It's great news for suppliers up and down the country. They can start to put their fees up soon. Agents will be buying, people will be selling, lots of revenue coming in. I just don't know how sustainable that sustained recovery is.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting at the moment. Talking to a few suppliers, and I assume it is literally just down to August and the fact that everyone is taking a staycation, from what I can see. But the number of suppliers I'm talking to that have had a really robust time the last obviously since coming out of lockdown, and actually inquiries at least have really fallen off the side of a cliff. I think that probably is just down to people not being around.
I think so. I think there's a lot of people that are choosing to do what you did and have disappeared. So what was it that you did?
So I threw axes, I threw knives, and look, just to be clear, I am actually the ex-squaddy who taught us that says I have got a natural skill. So on every kerfuffle stand from now on, you're going to see me knife throwing. If you didn't,
really manly. So you've been hanging out with sort of
alpha male. I lit fire, and I did that Bear Grylls style first time with some twiglets, not twiglets, that would be ridiculous, but some twiglets of wood. And then I shot an air rifle, and again, I was absolutely supreme there. So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling like, if the world ended and it breaks down into chaos, I could be one of those survivalist characters. Oh, here's one for you on the subject. Did you know that Mad Max, the film, the famous apocalyptic film, do you know it's the year that it was featured in?
2021.
Yes. Yeah, there we are. Look forwards to.
Oh, you know what? You're getting very old when you realise that the year that Marty McFly went back to was actually into the future was 2015. When we've gone past that now. And now we're headed straight for Mad Max.
Where are these jetpacks, David? Where are these jetpacks?
The issue with he's gone. Okay. Well, some messages from our sponsors. Kerfuffle. Oh, there he is.
It's you, isn't it? Every time you try and read,
honestly, it's not me. But here is your problem with flying cars and jetpacks and hoverboards and everything else. Air traffic control.
Yeah, it's
where everything goes. It's not that we haven't got the technology to do it. We have. Yeah. We just can't police it.
It's those pen pushers up at City Hall, the bitches. Yeah, insurance and everything. Did you see that, by the way? Insurance companies, because not many people are on the road, they've obviously had very few claims as well. So there is the prospect of lower insurance next year.
I think it's the same. They're saying with health insurance as well.
Aren't famously loads of hospital appointments being delayed? Ergo, for anyone other than, if you're unlucky enough to have anything other than corona, you're not getting sorted, are you?
You can get to private hospital if you've got money, or you've got private care.
Not unretain my socialist background, David, of course.
Telling me you've never visited a private doctor in your life, not even for that.
No, I definitely have. I don't have private cover. Not that I'm particularly about it one way or the other. If you want to have that like private schooling, I do think you should be able to do it. But I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Well, you see, when they get rid of the NHS, that's what is going to be reduced to.
Isn't that interesting, by the way? The American deal has basically post-Brexit deal that they promised us has been held up, hasn't it? Because yet again, we're refusing to put for the moment, for 10 minutes at least, we're refusing to put the NHS on there. And of course, also, unless we're willing to accept their chlorinated chicken, the agricultural side of things is holding it up. So that's great.
The NHS are like the RAF after the Battle of Britain. We owe so much to them now at this time that to treat them badly or to put them up for sale just wouldn't be right, would it?
Well, how much is that Captain Tom worth anyway? On a PE multiplier of 16, that guy's got to be worth 200 million quid, hasn't he? Get him out.
He might be worth 200. He might be worth 200 million quid, but I'll tell you something: you cannot buy life insurance for him. No one's going to.
No, not the pace he's going. You know, he's like that Porsche. He could veer off at any minute and go through an estate agent window. Watch out for Captain Tom outside your window this week.
This Zimmer frame straight through.
Yeah.
Straight, yeah.
That's right. Other podcasts. We're having a go at a national icon. Boom.
But it's funny because it seems like a million worlds away. We're only a few short weeks ago, we were all still clapping and banging pots on a Thursday night for the NHS. Captain Tom was raising money by walking around his garden. We are now packing every beach, spreading at a rate of knots.
Where's Ryan from Bournemouth? He personally needs to come on the show and apologise.
Honestly, do you reckon that's right? Or is that just sort of creative photography, all these photos of beaches that fact?
I can tell you in East Yorkshire, just east of Beverley, there wasn't many people on the beach last week, but then I don't think that's one of those hotbeds.
No, I don't think it's ever been described as hot over there. No, kids enjoy it though.
What?
Did the kids enjoy it?
Loved it. Yeah, loved it. George is still on his iPad ban for unconfirmed fraud.
I love that. I love that he managed to rack up that amount of debt at such a young age. That's superb.
Well, I'm impressed that I'm actually punishing him for once, because normally he says something cute and I let him off, but I've realised that's a rocky road.
Is he contrite?
Is he? Yes, he was. He wrote. I'll tell you what. I will put on the show. I will give you the letters as long as you promise not to mock his spelling grammar. Because he obviously he hasn't been at school, so who's to blame him? But he won't. He literally outside of the door.
What have you missed? I'm going to give you a summary of the last 42 minutes of show. If you just watch for just a short second. This whole show can be summarized by this. Just one sec. Here we go. Let's play this baby again. This is today's show.
Shall we sing the Benny Hill music over the top of it?
Oh. Hey. Oh, and again, every time.
Please send in your videos to Kerfuffle Podcast. And we will pay out merch. I don't think I did notice there. Well done to Oliver's daughter there, who's wearing a Kerfuffle helmet. Fantastic. Didn't even know we didn't.
Well, we now do. Oh, Zoe's gone to sleep. Zoe is a bit pissed off because what we were meant to do last week whilst you were away was hijack the show. She was going to be standing Whaley. But famously, she does not know how difficult it is to actually get Mints to get his shit together.
Yeah. Like it takes WhatsApp taunting you, doesn't it, at early morning? But not just that. Look, wait a minute. Look, that she's just getting ready for her first Property Mark board meeting.
I'd be very interested to hear actually who they've got in the running at Property Mark to take over.
Well, that's going to be fascinating. So, are you calling it early? Is it going to be a fantastic success, a middling, or is it going to be great? No, that's wrong. I don't want to say it's going to be a disaster, but it'd be just Game of Thrones style. It'd be interesting if they went for a nutcase.
I'm going to go. I think that's who we got.
So I look forward to your nomination.
It's clever photography, mate. Typical English press. We were down in Dorset last week, and whilst it was busy, everyone was 2 meters apart, even adhering to one-way systems.
Oh, don't listen to Mark Bevan. He's straight out the conspiracy crew. He thought the Greg's vegan sausage roll was fake news. Honestly, don't trust him.
He's got a very small head, hasn't he?
Tiny head, massive body. Lovely fella. Lovely fella.
Very strange.
And if you need tenant referencing, go Bevan.
Graham Wilson's gone 50-1 on David Lindley.
Yes, congratulations to David, because I noticed he's just had a little babby on the way. So his own, I should point out. Otherwise, that would be weird.
And that would be weird, but that's it's acceptable as well. Okay, so on that celebratory note, can you tell me what have you got on today? What are you doing this week?
Catching up. The team had a fantastic week to the point where they wanted to make it very, very clear that they can do without me, should do without me, do much better without me. So that was I'm back in today to slow everything down. Let
me guess, that was Emmeline, right?
Emmeline, Sarah, Fab, yeah, basically all of them had a fantastic week. And they have disturbingly started making money for the business, which I'm going to stop right now because they don't understand how prop techs work.
Yeah, no, if you hit profit, that's it. You're done.
That's it. They don't get it. They don't get it. So I'm slowing all that shit down.
It's downhill. Getting a shave. Yeah, when is that bum fluff coming off?
Oh, so I was going to say, put it out to the Facebook group. Vote now for where you want me to shave, and we'll do that live on the show next Monday.
Where we want you to share.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be great. I'm very interested to see.
If you don't think I'm loco enough to do it, David, absolutely fine.
I could raise a serious amount of money on that.
Well, let's do it for charity. Take that, Captain Tom. Take that, Sir Captain Tom. Sir Simon Whale is coming along.
Amy Hansen likes your manly. No,
that's not what she's saying. She now thinks that it's we're asking our viewers what they do.
What's BSc?
Bronze swimming certificate. I don't know. As a man of education, you should know that, isn't it? A degree,
a Bachelor of Science.
Yeah, I think so.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Everybody take care. Because it's wild. Amy Hansen.
It's like that's one of those new emoticons. It means great job, guys. Great job. Cheers, everyone.
See you later, guys. Oh, back. That's what I mean.